European officials, they're holding talks in Geneva with their Iranian counterparts in the hopes of finding a diplomatic solution to the escalating tensions between Israel and Iran. Now, just moments ago, the Iranian foreign minister told the group, quote, "Any justification for this unjust and criminal war would be tantamount to complicity." And it comes as Iran launches a fresh round of missiles against Israel. Air siren, you heard that there, blared across Jerusalem this morning as witnesses saw those drones on your screen being intercepted in the skies. Another city hit, the port city of Haifa. Both cities now enter their 8th day of conflict. Now, CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro has more on President Trump's stance on tensions in the Middle East. But first, I want to bring in CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams. She is in Erbil, Iraq for us. Holly, thank you for joining us once again today. Can you walk us through the exchange of strikes overnight and just how much damage are we seeing at this point?
Hey there, Mugo. I think when we're looking at Iran and Israel, we're just seeing two very different stories. Israel has a famously effective multi-layered air defense system that is clearly succeeding in intercepting the vast majority of missiles and drones that are being launched by Iran. Of course, those that do make it through are causing immense pain and suffering and fear. And the death toll in Israel is now at least 24, as I understand it. In Iran, the official death toll is over 200, but many people think it is several hundred more than that. And also, Iran's military appears to have been significantly weakened by just over 1 week of war with Israel. And to give you just one example of that, Israel's military said this morning that overnight it had over 50 fighter jets flying non-stop over Iran's capital, Tehran, and that they succeeded in hitting nuclear-related locations and missile production sites. So Iran's air defense systems at this point are clearly in tatters.
Wow. And Holly, we heard an Israeli envoy call for a complete rollback of Iran's nuclear program. Is this an option?
Well, look, I think curtailing Iran's nuclear program has been the focus of years and years of careful diplomacy. You remember that a deal to curtail the program was done during the Obama administration. President Trump, in his first administration, pulled out of that in 2018, but was trying to negotiate a new deal when Israel launched its attack. Now, Israel says that this is a matter of life or death, that it's facing an existential threat and that it has to derail Iran's nuclear program. Though, of course, the risk is that when you attack, you actually increase Iran's motivation to get its hands on nuclear weapons. Iran, for its part, has consistently denied that it has any intention of building a nuclear weapon. But just this month, the UN's nuclear watchdog declared Iran in breach of its non-proliferation obligations.
And Holly, we also understand you spoke to an Iranian opposition leader in Iraq. What did you learn from that conversation?
Well, look, we know there's a lot of opposition to the Iranian regime. Think back to the Woman Life Freedom protests in 2022. We've been speaking with one of Iran's outlawed opposition parties whose members, or some of their members, live here in exile in Iraq. They represent the Kurdish ethnic minority. The Iranian regime regards them as a terrorist organization. They said to us, nobody wants war, but the Israeli strikes and the US strikes, if they happen, serve the purpose of weakening the Iranian regime. Now, they are very clear. They do not want Israel or the US to engineer regime change, but they do want the regime to be toppled. And then they say they want to build their own truly democratic, free, secular, and non-nuclear Iran.
Wow. Okay. Holly Williams, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate your time today. Now let's bring in CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro for much more on this. Aaron, thank you for joining us today. The president is expected to receive his intelligence briefing before leaving to Bedminster today. This after Caroline Levitt, she told reporters that he will make a decision in 2 weeks on whether to get involved in the Middle East. So do we know what the president is considering?
Yeah, Muko, good to be with you. This briefing that was scheduled to start today is going to be repeating every day through Sunday as we wait to see what President Trump decides. Yes, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said it could be within 2 weeks. Of course, it could be sooner that he makes that decision. But on the table is an actual roadmap for diplomacy that the president is considering. At the same time, he has reiterated he wants Iran to give up its nuclear program, give up on building a nuclear weapon. This has been described by some diplomatic officials as a last shot for Iran, who continues to get hit by Israeli bombs as well. We've heard from the White House that there has been correspondence between Iran and the U.S., specifically Iranian's foreign minister and the White House special envoy Steve Witkoff. And you're also seeing in Geneva Iran's foreign minister meeting with European leaders as well. But in the backdrop of all of this conversation about diplomacy is an accelerated U.S. military presence in the region should President Trump decide to launch strikes on Iran, which sources have told CBS News is a plan that he has approved as an option. We have learned that he is learned about the logistics of what are known as bunker buster bombs, which would really hit that nuclear site of Fordow that the U.S. is really interested in, that is key to any nuclear program for Iran. So all the options are on the table. We are just waiting to see what President Trump decides.
Okay, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he met with the UK Foreign Minister at the White House. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, we understand he was there as well. So what came of this, and will this conversation influence the meetings happening in Geneva today?
Yeah, we know the UK's Foreign Minister Lammy will be in Geneva to meet with Iranian's foreign minister as well as a couple other European leaders. Our understanding from readouts and what sources have told us is that Lammy will tell Iran that the U.S. deal is on the table, signal that the U.S. is still looking to find an off-ramp diplomacy to resolve this conflict, to potentially get Iran to drop their nuclear program. According to readouts, Lammy and Rubio, Witkoff agreed that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, but at the same time discuss diplomacy. And in a statement from Lammy's office, they say, quote, "A window now exists for a diplomatic solution." So given that Lammy will be at Geneva, he is, in a sense, relaying the message from the U.S. To that Iranian foreign minister, as it is not yet fully known what type of direct talks, if there are any, between the U.S. and Iran.
Okay, so the president is also set to travel to The Hague on Monday. So what are we watching for there?
We're watching to see a long-standing issue when it comes to the U.S. wanting Europe to spend more on their defense. That had been something that Lammy and Rubio discussed in their meetings yesterday, according to readouts. But of course, looking to see if there is any developments with Israel and Iran, further European cooperation with the U.S. there. But we also know, sources have told CBS, that the schedule for this summit in The Hague had been shortened, and that President Trump is at least confirmed to attend this dinner with the heads of state, remaining to be seen if he's going to attend one of the plenary sessions with the foreign leaders. But sources have told CBS News that this has been shortened, the schedule, because of fear that he would walk out early, as he did during the G7 in Canada just earlier this week.
Okay. Well, Aaron Navarro from the White House for us. Thank you so much for your reporting. Appreciate your time today.